I was in the midst of switching my camera, and unfortunately, sometimes finding the right tab is problematic. I'm one of those people that works off a ton of different tabs. If you're like me, I apologize, because we can have t-shirts made for each other. So you should be seeing my LinkedIn profile on your page. And as you can see, I'm really not an eater of Raisin Bran, so I'm not quite sure why that's showing up there, but it's obviously an ad. Please ignore that part for the moment. At least we're doing this during lunch, and bear with me because you can eat if you haven't eaten yet. And I hope you're not getting too hungry seeing that ad. I love those things. But as you can see, you're looking at my profile there. And I'm going to go ahead and start moving around within my profile. The way I got here was anytime you go into LinkedIn, you wind up on your home page, which shows you all your feed and all these things that suggest you ads that you think you might be interested in and whatnot. To get to your profile, you simply just need to click on profile. Okay. Now that will show you what your profile looks like, and it shows you all the ways you can do it. Now, you can either click on profile or edit profile. Either way, as you can see, I'm rolling my mouse across and I am able to see pencil icons next to anything that I am able to adjust. And I hope you guys can all see that. Everybody gauging that well. And you can see that I have, one thing I want to point out, and the way I kind of touted this, this show is that you can be an all-star on LinkedIn, and that is in the top right corner up here. Now, I really do believe LinkedIn does this on purpose. They leave a little sliver of unattainable white. I'm never probably going to get to a full circle because I think it always wants me to try to reach for the stars on my profile. And thus, I think everybody feels that way. Your circle may not even be up to all-star, and that's okay, because today we're going to help you try to get there. So let's start going through top to bottom your profile. One thing I want to point out is that, you see guys, I have this branded background on my profile, and anybody with a LinkedIn profile, it does not have to be a premium level, anybody has the option of adding a background to your profile. And again, all I would need to do, I could save it as is, I can change the image, or I could remove the image. That background photo for your profile has specific dimensions that you're going to want to adhere to. The background photo needs to be 1400 pixels by 425 pixels. So 1400 pixels wide by 425 pixels tall. And please note that as you look at the profile photo, it's obviously obscured in the center because my profile is overlaid on top of it. So when you create your background image, you're going to want to keep central area free. Now, I did a few hit and misses when I was trying to create this profile photo to get it to where it would line up correctly. And that is probably going to adjust based on how large of a screen somebody is seeing my profile on. But at least in this regard, I can see that my logo is here, my tagline is here, it's my brand colors. If you have a profile photo that speaks to your profession, if you guys are into, perhaps you're into real estate or tourism or anything like that, you guys can upload a photo back here. It doesn't have to be a designed one. You can find a stock image that really speaks to what your profession is, what service you provide, and that can add that little bit of flair. If anyone remembers the movie Office Space, that can add that little bit of flair to your profile. It just adds a little bit more, because otherwise, honestly, guys, I can go in and see right away a profile that doesn't have a background photo versus one that does. I'm instantly drawn to the ones that do. I like the flair. And again, just a reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A tab, and I will look at those. So you do have that option to add the background. One quick hack I want to provide for you is that if you're not proficient with graphic design or spacing, or, oh my gosh, she said 1400 pixels by 425 pixels, I don't know. I'm going to give you a hack. If you're not aware of it, go to Canva. It's Canvas without an S, canva.com. You'd be able to enter the dimensions and create a new image that is 1400 pixels by 425 pixels, and then create something in there. Again, stock image, and they have some free images in there. They have designs. They have a myriad of things that can make you look like a really proficient graphic designer. So moving on from that background photo, the next really important thing I want you guys to look at is your your photo for your actual profile. This needs to be a professionally shot picture. I actually, guys, in full transparency, need to improve upon this one. This was done when I had longer hair and very different colored hair, and I can definitely do better. So as you can see, I can adjust it. I have uploaded this picture and I can adjust that square, and you can see on the right, it's shifting what my picture actually looks like. And I do believe I'll leave a little bit of air between the top of my head and the top of the picture, and hit save. I can also delete the photo, or I can change the photo to something else. For these photos, do not, there are a couple of do's and don'ts. Do not, and I'm actually going to hop back to, let me hop back to myself. Okay. When you're looking at your profile photo, do not do a selfie. I know we have wonderful smartphones, and usually, I mean, there are some instances where you might be able to grab a decent selfie, but I'm talking about the ones where you may have been in a bar, or a restaurant, or out on a park bench with friends. You don't want to use that picture and then crop out people's heads that are right next to you and make that your profile photo. It's far too casual. You want to try to get it to where, okay, obviously this was an intentional photo I took of myself to give you guys an idea of who I am and what I look like in a professional sense. Selfies are more for Facebook or Instagram, okay? Also, I had done this in the past, full transparency again. You don't want to do a family photo necessarily where you're having to crop your head down because you've got other people in the picture. I, for a long time, had a LinkedIn photo that you could just see a sliver of my son's ear on the margin. And you don't want to do that. You want to keep that stuff out. Now, if you happen to be of a profession that's a family counselor or childcare, it could be completely appropriate for your profile photo to have some kids or other people in that profile photo. I would say that'd be the only exception to that rule. Otherwise, it needs to just be you. You are the person that profile represents. People need to see what you look like. If you do not have a profile photo on your LinkedIn profile right now, make sure you get one by the end of the day. Here's how you do it. You've got daylight outside. Daylight works as a great light. If you can get outside where you're at least not squinting into the sun, get up against a brick wall and have somebody take the picture of you, take several shots, I would say about 10, where you're kind of just shifting, changing your smile, big smile, little smile, changing, the tilt of your head. And typically you can find a decent picture from in there to put on your on your LinkedIn profile. Do that before the week is out. If you don't have a profile photo, you are not seen as legitimate on LinkedIn. You just simply aren't. You don't care about that platform. You don't care about your profile. You're just filling space there. Trust me. So get that profile photo done. That's my big admonishment here. So let me get back into. So we're back on the profile. Let's hop back into the rest of this. So we covered the flair at the top, if you will, the things that you really need to have to prove, yes, I'm a real person. Now you'll notice when you've created your LinkedIn profile, you should already have this stuff defaulted in here. It'll grab whatever your name was. It'll grab whatever your current title is. Notice that mine is obviously not that title, but it'll grab that. And it'll also just take things from your profile as far as what you've entered when filling it out. It's going to take your current company, previous companies, and if you've entered education. Please notice, along any of these, you have a pencil icon. You can adjust these. So let's say that maybe I want to go in here and say, well, I'm not just Rachel Moore, I'm Rachel Maxwell Moore. I could completely do that if I wanted to. And actually, look, there is a former name option. Let me go ahead and add that actually. Maxwell is my maiden name. So I'm going to, and I have the option. There's a little privacy setting you can do. You can make that visible just to the people connected to you. Your network is broader. These are potential connections as well as your current connections. And everyone means anyone who is on LinkedIn. So if that makes it a little easier for you to find, and actually it looks like it's wanting me to correct. Okay, I'm not sure what it's saying for me to do differently, but didn't really give me an indication there. So let's blame that on LinkedIn for right now, shall we? Everybody good. So just so we've covered it, we can get down through and adjust anything in there. Really quick, I want to touch on your title. Your title can absolutely be your current title of where you're working. And I'm going to switch to, let's think about this a bit, because if you walked up to somebody in the street and asked what you do, you have a couple of ways you could answer. You could say, I'm an account manager at company XYZ. Do you feel that the title account manager really tells that person what you offer them? Possibly not. What if instead you said, I seek out Coloradans, so I live in Colorado, I seek out Coloradans who need help with their social media presence. Okay, that's not my title, obviously, but it is what I do. And so when you are filling in your title on your LinkedIn profile, keep that in mind. You can customize that title to not just be the title or role that you fill at whatever company you work at. You can make it something that is, really speaks to that person, saying, this is what I do for you. And I just dropped my microphone, excuse me. This is what I do for you and what I offer you. And so that's what you want to try to give in there, because, hi, oh my gosh, I love your selfie. Is that a Yodis? That's great. This is such a great little platform. I love it. I love that you play around with that. Yeah, guys, feel free to do selfies on here too if you want to have some fun. Now, I wouldn't put that as your LinkedIn profile picture. It's awesome, Barb, but don't do it. That's so great. So again, that's fun for this Huzza. I wouldn't do the selfie picture with the little Yoda in it unless you happen to design Yodas. I wouldn't put that as your LinkedIn profile picture. Are we good? All right, we're going to hop back into sharing the screen. Okay, so we're back in to the profile. Now, again, you can change any of these items as far as the past companies and such. I want you to take a real quick look as we get down here. Now, here is something that tons of people miss and they don't realize they can change. In your LinkedIn profile, when you first sign up, LinkedIn assigns you a URL. Now, a URL is basically a web address. If I just highlighted at the top of my screen the URL of the page I'm on, that's the web address. That's how I get to where we currently are. This is the same thing. It's your web URL to get to your LinkedIn profile. Now, when you first sign up on LinkedIn, this is your name that you've entered, but then they add this alphanumeric stuff at the end, which is incredibly not intuitive. It's random. It's fully random. So if you've got that as your current URL, that's another piece of homework I'd like you to do, because here's what we're going to walk you through. If I'm in edit profile, I'm on my profile, I could be in edit profile, and here I am in the same way. If you hover here, there's a little gear box, and I'm going to click on it. We're going to be taken to a new screen where at the top right, I have an option to create a public profile URL. And as you can see, that's exactly what I've done. And guys, I've done this more than once. This is not the first, nor may it be the last custom URL that I've created, but it happens to be the one that I've settled on for right now. I have used other things like my Twitter handle in here, Rachel_Riley. And actually, yes, I don't even know if I could do an underscore in that, but you can use your first name. This could get a little problematic if you happen to have a very common name like John Smith, but you can add different things to the end of it. What I've opted to do in this realm, and I've been advised to do this by my good colleague Joyce Fustel, who teaches LinkedIn, is to have my name as well as the keywords that I'm an expert in, and that is social media. So I've got Rachel Moore social media. So if somebody looks up Rachel Moore social media, chances are they might come across my LinkedIn profile because, hey, it's right there. Again, you can change this as many times as you want. I have not yet hit a limit. And here's the beauty part, is that LinkedIn will redirect. Okay, so let's talk about redirecting a little bit in case that doesn't make sense to you guys. I looked at that on Snapchat. I do, don't I? Oh, on the screen versus on Snapchat? Or on my profile. I told you guys that is a very different profile picture. I need to get it updated, actually. I should actually take my own advice and go get my profile photo redone. Redirecting. So if you guys make that custom URL, I don't want you to freak out and think, oh no, I've put my other URL, my previous one for LinkedIn, out on a business card, or it's on my signature of my email. It's linked there. This is going to create an error and it's going to break it. It won't. LinkedIn actually does you a favor in that anytime you change your LinkedIn URL, that custom one, it's going to automatically redirect anyone clicking on any version of that LinkedIn, that URL that it has been. It's going to redirect them to your profile. They will get to your profile. So I don't want you to worry about that, saying, okay, well, Rachel, you changed your URL. It used to be Rachel Moore Denver, and now you've changed it to Rachel Moore Social Media. anyone clicking on that previous URL is going to have a broken link. They won't. It actually will get to them. So I want to encourage you in that. LinkedIn does us all a favor by providing that redirect. So I'd like you guys to go in and create a custom URL for yourself. If you need any help, let me know. Bye, Rhonda. Thanks for being in. I appreciate it. If you need any help getting that custom URL set up or any ideas for what you could put in there, let me know. I'd be happy to help you. All right, let's jump back into. Okay, and we're back. Now you'll notice that I'm glad we hopped into this because you'll notice in addition to adjusting my profile URL, I also have a myriad of chances here to change the publicity or the visible settings of my profile. Now, everyone's got a custom use for how they want to use LinkedIn. I tend to be the more public person where I want everything visible because those are just additional opportunities for people in my past or in my network to find me on LinkedIn and connect and possibly lead to business opportunities. But there may be times where you want your profile visible to no one. And you can see if I've selected that, this is pretty much grayed out. Nobody who is outside of LinkedIn is going to see my profile. That's not what I wish to do. But you'll see too, as I go through this, let's say that I didn't want people to see my picture. As you make adjustments here, you can see that your profile on the left adjusts and it makes it so, okay, well, you don't want anyone to see what you've posted. Maybe you don't want people to see your skills for some reason. Maybe you don't want someone to see your past positions, just your current. You can go in at any time and hide or reveal any of these components. And again, you guys, this is going to be up to you. Only you can decide how you want to use this and if you want to be private or not. Again, let me know if you guys have any questions about any of this stuff. But I find that to be a huge advantage people don't realize they have, is that they can enforce a bit of privacy settings here in LinkedIn for any number of reasons they may have. And again, this might be based on seasonal things and times and job searching or not, and different things that they need this for. Okay. Also, you have the opportunity to create a public profile badge. That'll basically create a little icon, a LinkedIn icon you can then embed on a website or in a signature. So let's go back to my profile main, and I'm going to just hop back here, and here we are again. One thing you definitely want to do is update your contact info. Now, unless you have a storefront you're going to enter here where you want people to come visit, I would recommend not putting in a home address ever. I don't see any reason to do that unless you have somewhere where you feel secure enough to do that. I actually need to update this because that's not my current Skype. This is great that we're in here. So there's my Skype. I can add some other things. You can see that we have some other options here for instant messaging. If you've got WeChat or Gtalk, ICQ, gosh, that brings me back, Windows Live Messenger. This is one of my complaints about LinkedIn, is that I feel oftentimes they're very behind the curve. In my opinion, they should have, I know they're a competitor, but they should have Facebook Messenger in here and possibly even Snapchat. Where the heck is WhatsApp? Some of these should be in here. So please keep that in mind, that I think that LinkedIn still has some ways to go. And as Microsoft begins to have its way with LinkedIn, we'll see if they have any updates there. You can add an email here that you'd like people to use, a mobile phone if you like that. If you have any Twitter accounts that are tied to you, and this is a wonderful opportunity for me to go in here and remove one that is no longer affiliated with me because I used to work for a company. And what we're seeing right now is that it's asking me to sign in because it's saying, wait a minute, you're making a change to your settings. Are you sure? And yes, I was sure. So I went ahead and removed that Twitter account. See, I'm doing some housekeeping while we're in here. Full transparency. And you guys can too. If you want your LinkedIn up and running while you're doing this, more power to you. You can get this taken care of. So again, you can add a Twitter handle in here. If you do add a Twitter handle, you'll find that when you post an update, you'll have an option to tweet that out as well. You can add websites as well. So let's say that you've got, and I need to do some updates here. This is great. Let's say that you've got, oh my goodness, Rachel, I am being a bad person, but this is good that we're actually going in here and changing this stuff. So let's say that you've got your website you want to share in here. So I'm putting my website in there. I've got my training bit.ly in there as well. And actually, I'm going to update that because I think that has also changed. So really social media training, happen to know it by heart. But those are some websites you can put in there. And as you save them, so get social media training, there's my company website if you have a blog or anything like that, or I can add my YouTube channel there as well. But those are some websites you can add in. You want to make sure this is robustly filled in because obviously if you are out on LinkedIn, you'd like people to reach out to you for any number of reasons, jobs or networking or otherwise. Having this stuff filled in correctly, which mine now is the best way to go. All right, as we move on down, we're in the edit profile mode. Now, one thing I want to point out before we go any farther, you're going to see this little option over here about notifying your network. Right now, mine is set to no. I can also set it to yes. Now, if I set it to yes, you'll see that that has changed to yes. Publish an update to my network about my profile changes. And let me hop back into the camera. I find this is an important switch to be mindful of when you are making massive updates to your LinkedIn profile. Now, if you decide to spend an hour or two to say, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a ton of stuff to my LinkedIn profile, great. Anytime you add something to your LinkedIn profile or make an edit or a change, it's going to post an update to your feed saying, Rachel just added copywriting as a skill. Rachel just updated her profile photo. Rachel just added a PDF to her work experience. So it's going to start doing a chain of updates out on your feed. Now, you may want people in your connections to know that you're making these updates because let's say that you do want to announce to people that you've just taken a new job. Now, granted, LinkedIn, when you do add a new position, usually it will put that out to people saying, you guys have probably seen it on LinkedIn. Congratulate so-and-so in your network on their new position at blah, blah, blah. But perhaps you'd like to add that position and also some skills that you've acquired with it that have gotten you that position. If you have that switch, yes, let my update, my feed with my profile updates, that's going to get pushed out so people know you're adding it. So it can be a way to toot your own horn a bit on an automated sense. But I recommend that if you're going to do some sweeping changes to your profile, you probably want to turn that switch to no off. You don't want those things to go out on your feed. Also, for those of you who do use LinkedIn for looking for a job, I recommend turning it off, okay? Particularly if you don't want your current employer to know that you might be kind of looking around and scoping the territory. Because you might start adding some things to your profile. If you're connected with your employer on LinkedIn, they're going to get notified if that thing is set to yes. They're going to get notified that you've made updates. And they're like, why are they updating their LinkedIn profile? You're going to make them start thinking. So keep this in mind. Know your audience. Know that if you have that set to yes, and I'll share back over there so we can see what it looks like. If you have this set to yes, anything you change in here, let's say that you decide to be very, endeavoring and decide to say, hey, I'm seeking new employment. Well, guess what? Your whole network's going to be notified you just changed that title. And if you're connected to your boss, or if you are set to public viewing on your profile in any way, they're going to see that, and you might have just jeopardized your current position. So a good default is to have this set to no as default, and set it to yes on those instances where you might like an update sent out to your network and such. All right. And I want to make sure, does anyone have any questions thus far about things that we've covered? Anything that you feel like I haven't covered yet in the top section? If you are, just please go ahead and pop it into the comments or the Q&A tab, and I'll get to it. I hope this is beneficial as we keep rolling. And again, this video will be available for replay for you guys to be able to take a look at. Okay, so I'm going to hop back in. I'm not seeing some questions for the moment. So let's keep looking. Now, LinkedIn is always going to try to take a look at any sections you haven't filled in thus far and say, are you sure you don't want to add these sections to your profile? Now, something like test scores, I could see how that could be valuable if you are getting certifications, or even if you're in something like medicine where you might want to show, oh my gosh, I'm so killer at this particular skill or profession. That's fine. Publications, if you do have publications, you can definitely show up places where you've been published, articles, books, and so on. Language. If you guys are bilingual, I would absolutely add this as a section to your profile. That is a huge advantage to you and what you can offer to people. And of course, if you're an inventor, go for the patents. As we scroll down, you'll see that your post, or that any post that you've published, and these are ones that these are not updates, but these are published posts that are more like the blog style posts on LinkedIn. Those will be listed here. Obviously, you have the option to write a new post or view the stats on these. These are really the only analytics provided to a LinkedIn profile that LinkedIn provides to you. You can see how many people viewed some of these posts and what kind of industries viewed it and stuff like that. But I'm going to get down to the summary. Now, so many people see the summary as a place to put an objective statement. I see a very wide schools of thought on this. You can just be short, brief. I tend to like to do at least a couple paragraphs, a little bit that talks about me, but a lot that talks about what I can do for people. So, you know, my first thing, I'll make you laugh, really. I try. So you can type whatever you want in here. A lot of people do also like to do bullet points in here where they're just kind of enumerating out the things that you can do. You basically want this though to be a quick hit. You need something that's going to grab them with the things that you want to let them know that you do. And also, I just want to show you one thing that happens. So let's say that I start typing in here, we'll have a great time figuring out your social media. And I'm not seeing it come up, but before in the past, they've had it where a little help text will come up here and it'll say, hey, maybe you want to look at adding these keywords regarding your profession and expertise to this summary statement. And that's definitely something you can do. If you are have subject matter expertise in based on certain keywords, you want those keywords to be in the summary, because as people search up here for things that you do, this will definitely feed into if they can find you or not. Okay. Now, as I save that, you're going to see that I've got a nifty little thing right below my summary. What that is an asset. And you can see that any of you have this option. If this little box with a plus in the corner gives you opportunity to add a video, an image, a document, a presentation, or anything. So let's say, and actually I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to upload a file here, which is a LinkedIn worksheet. And I'm going to provide this to you guys later as well. But I actually don't know if I'll go through and actually finish uploading it. But as I'm uploading this PDF, so it's generating it, it's thinking about it, that's just one kind of file or asset I can add to my LinkedIn profile to make it stand out, to give it some media and give it a little more oomph. So LinkedIn worksheet. And I can add anything I want here too. You can publish a SlideShare if you have a SlideShare account, and you could hit save. So as I hit save, it should come up with a little file. Someone can click on to access that LinkedIn worksheet. And if they click on it, it will let someone viewing my profile open it and be able to download or view that PDF. I'm actually going to remove it because I have special plans for that. But that gives you a demonstration as far as how you can use this profile. And you guys, you can add assets throughout. So I've added an asset. I have a white paper on how to navigate Snapchat. And I've added that here so that, you know, people are interested in that. They're like, oh my gosh, great. I don't know how to navigate Snapchat. I want to hop in there and see. You can do that. Barbara, I do see your question too about the LinkedIn Pro Finder. I will answer that in a little bit because I do have some thoughts about that, but I appreciate that question. So I'll let that sit in the runner here for a moment, if that's okay. So again, you can add, if you have something you really want people to see, and maybe it's a call to action on your website, or it's a newsletter ask, or it's an event that you're going to be doing, and you want them to see that right off the bat, your summary is a great place to add it because your summary is right at the top. But notice that you can actually rearrange things. So one thing you can't rearrange is your recent post. That's always going to be where it is, stationary at the top. But I can rearrange my summary. Maybe I don't want my summary to be in the top and I do want my skills to be at the top. Okay, maybe the first thing I want people to see is what I'm skilled at. Okay, and then if they get farther down than that, then they can see my summary. I have the option, and so do you, to change the order of your sections. Okay, so I just replaced it and put summary at the top because again, it's got my little navigate Snapchat white paper, which is to a form on my website. and gets people rolling into how to use Snapchat. Then I've got skills and endorsements. Now, let's talk about skills and endorsements. This is one section you are not able to add media to it, but you can add skills. And I believe you're limited to 50 skills. You have reached the limit of 50 skills. I have hit my limit. I'm not able to add any more. When you add skills, this feeds into that nice little top prompter on LinkedIn that when you visit somebody else's profile, it'll ask you, would you like to endorse, Mary Jo for social media marketing? And you can click yes or just ignore. That is generated from the skills that you've entered into your LinkedIn profile. And I absolutely recommend trying for all 50. You'd be surprised as you start typing things in. Let me just type in typing. Typing, see, look at these. These options came in just from typing. There's audio typing. There's Darwin. I have no idea what that is. Copy typing, blood typing, metabolic typing. So my challenge to you is I want you to think about the from top to bottom, what are the big things that you do? And then what are the smaller things that you do? And see, I've already got project management in here, but look how many different project management deviations there are. Software project management, project portfolio management, web project management. I mean, there's a myriad of things. So you could find something like, ooh, yes, HR project management is exactly what my skill is, and you'd want to add that. So now I'm not able to because I've already got it. Plus I'm at my 50 cap. You may be wondering what these numbers all are next to each skill. That is how many people have endorsed me so far for the so social media marketing is at the end, and it goes down from there. Social media is 85, yay. So that helps me. Endorsements are great. Honestly, I feel like they're a bit of a clickbait situation here on LinkedIn because I've definitely had people who've endorsed me for stuff where I had no idea what that word even meant. Because when you endorse somebody, it asks you if you want to add a skill that you think they're good at. I had someone add one that I'm like, I don't even know what that word means, so I declined it. And when you also have that opportunity to manage your endorsements. So you could say, I don't really like, and I do love Shannon, but let's say I'm like, Shannon, I don't want her endorsing me anymore. I could hide her endorsements of me and unclick that. So you have some control here over which endorsements you want to be viewed. And once you click to unhide that person endorsing you, their numbers will be withdrawn from here. And it will no longer show that you've been endorsed by that person. So just know you do have some control there to be like, oh, I do or do not want somebody to see that. All right, so those are your skills. Again, definitely take some time to go in there, try to get all 50 in there because that's just more opportunity for someone to see, oh, you are skilled at that. That's great. All right, now we're down to the experience section. You'll notice that as I hover over here, I've got pencil icons next to virtually everything so I can change whatever I need to. This lets me update anything in here. Again, you want this to be very rich in keywords to encompass everything that you are responsible for, that you do. If people are looking for it up here and you want them to find you, then it should be in here or in your summary or both, okay? Obviously, I can also reposition my whole experience. Maybe I want that to be the very top thing. So I could drag that up above everything else and let that be the top of my page. I think I did just move it. So now my experience is right below my summary. Again, do what you want to do. Whatever makes sense to you. And you guys definitely do some testing. Perhaps if you move your experience up for a month to the top, you might find that you get some more asks to connect. So, or maybe you get a depletion. Maybe if you move a different section up, you get better stuff. So that's something you can play around with. Notice too that I have this option here where I can still, to this part of my experience, add a video, image, document, or presentation. You'll notice I have done just that because I am a contributor for Social Media Examiner. I decided to add that badge they gave me to this part of my experience because that's where I've achieved that. So definitely, and I have some more things I can add in here too as far as presentations I've given or things like that. But think about what you have, even if it's like a picture of you at an event that you coordinated. Perhaps you did some public speaking. You've got a picture of you on a stage. Maybe you've done a PDF or a presentation that teaches people how to do things in your profession or your expertise. You consult. Maybe you have a checklist or a helpful worksheet that helps your customers get answers as far as what your expertise is. Definitely stuff you can provide in here because that's all lending to your credibility. Make this a portfolio for yourself. You can add, I think I've at one point had up to 6 items with one area of experience. That may even be down here, yeah. I had a video of myself. I showed a cover image of our Twitter account back at the time. That was some press we got during Obamacare and things like that. These are things that I helped with, that I helped push out. I will also point out a couple other things. And let me just hop back over to the main screen to make sure you guys are good with no questions. Very good. Okay, so as you're in your experience, you're going to see sometimes that you might start seeing, oh, well, I've got a couple other additional things that have sprouted up connected to this experience. One of those things is recommendations. Now, recommendations, we've talked about endorsements already, and I will hop back to the main screen because I want to make some eye contact with you guys. Recommendations, in my mind, are far more advantageous than an endorsement. Remember, I called endorsements kind of a clickbait thing. So Rhonda, if I were to go visit your LinkedIn profile, at the top, it would instantly prompt me to say, hey, Rhonda has skills in this, this, and this. Would you like to endorse her for those? And all I'd have to do is click yes. That's all. If I wanted to, I could also type one in saying, well, yeah, she's also good at this. But that's it. I mean, it's really a mindless, yeah, I'll just click through and that's fine. And there might not be a whole lot of intention behind that. And then the whole point is to say it's going to send a notification to Rhonda saying, Rachel just endorsed you. Would you like to endorse her for these skills? See what I'm saying? It is, in a sense, trying to promote the engagement back and forth, but it's mostly trying to just get you to add on to someone's stuff. What makes far more value to a person on LinkedIn is a recommendation. When you give someone a recommendation, you basically have to go in, you have to identify in what role you are and what role that person was in that you actually worked with them and where you got the experience of being with them and knowing what they do. And then you have to compose your own recommendation. It's like a letter of recommendation. That's exactly what it is. You have to write your own thoughts. There is no canned text in there. It basically is you just giving your own thoughts on like, here is why Rhonda was amazing when we worked on this project together. And the nice thing is once you're done with that and you hit submit, it attaches that recommendation to whatever role you identified Rhonda as being in for what was relevant to that experience. And then it notifies her saying, hey, Rachel just recommended you. You might want to go take a look at that. Okay. So recommendations are huge. And I would absolutely ask for them. If you made a client happy or a customer happy or a colleague, you guys worked on a project together and they just were like, I can't say enough about how great you were. Ask them for a recommendation. It's an easy ask. Just say, hey, would you mind recommending me? That would be great. And if it applies, say you'll do the same for them in turn. Recommendations are amazing on LinkedIn. I really recommend that you get it done for somebody and try to make the ask for yourself to have it as well. Go for the recommendations. Endorsements, okay, and recommendations are where it's at. So let's hop back into the screen. So we're back in the profile. The other thing I want to look at is projects. Now I should have this lower down. Projects is its own section. Let's go down and see if I have it. I do somewhere. I just have to find it. Honors, courses, projects. Okay. If you add this section, I love this part of it too, because again, you have to tie this in with a role that you played. But the nice part about a project is that then you can include, as you describe it, you have to title it, you have to say when it happened, give a little description of what the project was, again with the keywords. But then you can add your connections on LinkedIn that helped you with that project. So I don't want to do that. Seth, sorry, we just visited Seth. Let's see if it does the thingy. Okay, it doesn't. Okay, let me go back. I didn't mean to click on his name, but now you know what Seth looks like. Seth was a IT professional that I worked with on this project. Let's see if this does this. Okay, so when I completed this project, I made sure I went in and added people who worked with me on this project, and they ranged from several different things across the spectrum. But and you can see now, none of these people actually, very few of them are in the same role that they were when we worked on this project together. But they get a notification saying I've added them to this project, and this can then show up in their experience as well. But this is a wonderful way to show some accolades to other people, to tag them, include them, show that you know how to work with people. And then, I mean, look at that opportunity. If somebody saw this project and said, huh, that's interesting, I want to know how Rachel did on that website launch. Maybe I'll send Helen an email or a message and ask her, what was your experience working with Rachel on that website launch? So that leads to one other admonishment. Don't lie. Obviously, if you do add a project and you don't tag anybody else, you can say whatever you want. If you plan to tag other people, I would absolutely make sure this is as true as possible. And you may even want to ask them what they think about your description and say, hey, do you have any recommendations for how I can make that a little more thorough? So once I've added this project, and in the course of adding it, you do indicate what role you were in when that was going on. Let's scroll back up to my experience. The project will then be listed below or tied to the role that you were in, that you indicated you were in during that project. And here it is. So nothing clickable here, but then if I click view, actually, it does jump me down to my project section, and that's where I can let people see more. This, again, think portfolio. This adds to your credibility, to your experience. You're like, and for most people, it adds to the fact that you can A, manage details, and B, work with others. So I would really recommend adding projects where you have worked with another human being, because that can for sure add, in today's day and age of really focusing on how people are interconnected and the workplace dynamic, this can be gold for you. So make sure you add the projects in there. I'm scrolling up, not trying to make you guys your vision go wonky. There's my skills again. You do have a ton of options. I have certification in radio, TV, broadcasting, so I put that in there. I know for a fact that would come into play for medical people and stuff too. So if you have some certifications that are at all valuable to your experience, you can add those. Volunteering. Yes, please go add these. Again, speaking to what people are looking for as they're recruiting or trying to find team members, they want to know you're a human being with outside interests and possibly giving heart. So if you have volunteered in any capacity, I would totally put that in here. And you can also say if you're looking for any volunteering opportunities, as well as causes that you care about, that can help tie you to potential other volunteering opportunities, as well as board positions, and let people find you based on what those interests are. You may find that your interest in a specific type of volunteer effort could lead to a job. You just never know, because again, people are trying to hire human beings. So the more you indicate that you are in fact human, that's the better. I have a very silly honor and award. I'm a TripAdvisor senior contributor. Ooh. So I'm going to skate on past that. It's pretty lame. And then courses, I played around with this. Again, I could see this being somewhat beneficial, particularly if you are in business school or you're graduating and you're trying to build that network and you want to show people what you focused on. Go for it. And I know some of you probably could think of some other things. Maybe you took, if you took a course, if I took a course with Hootsuite to get certified and stuff, I could say that in here as well. That could add to my credibility. Here's all the projects I've listed that I've worked on. As you can see, some of the people I've tied to the project don't have look how glaring that looks. That's way different than if you've got some actual vital people in here. See, guys, this is why you want to have a profile picture, because you look like a real person. Education. All right, I'm going to show you a bit on this, then I'll hop back to my camera to really talk a little more about this. Absolutely fill in your education. Say where you went, if you got, achieved degrees, what times you went there. If you want, add activities and societies. If you were on fraternities, sororities, you worked on yearbook or, anything like that. Add description and stuff like that. But primarily, you at least want to add the educational establishment that you went to. And here's why. Let me hop back over to the camera. The reason you want to do this is because LinkedIn has an entire section to help you network with alumni. So if you've entered your educational history into LinkedIn, All these colleges and secondary institutions, they have LinkedIn profiles. Most of them do. I'm trying to think of one that doesn't. They have pages, LinkedIn pages and LinkedIn profiles, a presence on LinkedIn where you can tie into them. And when you do that, you then get to open up and try to find alumni. And guys, that can be networking gold for you, because even if you didn't really know people, maybe you weren't in the same class, but the fact that you went to the same university is still a commonality. And that can lead to just that additional step to get in with somebody. Barb, and I love what your comment is. As an employer, they're listing courses is important. It tells you if candidates are keeping skills current. Barb, what industry are you looking at for that? Because I do find, I know there are industries out there in different specialties that absolutely would rely on coursework and stuff like that. So that would be great if you would share that. So it is, I mean, I think there are different applications, obviously, for each of the sections, some more than others. There are a few sections where it's like, I think that'd be a few more isolated instances where it would work. But hey, if you've got it and it adds to your credibility and your presence on LinkedIn, go for it. All right, so hopping back over to, let me just show you really quick. The reason I feel this is important to point out, I'm going to hover up here on the menu. When I click on My Network, you'll see, and this is under your menu as well, you have a Find Alumni section. Now, when we hop in here, this is pretty fun because you can see that there are almost 67,000 other people in LinkedIn who have also said they've gone to University of Denver. It tells me where they live. It tells me where they work. Ooh, wow, that's a lot in Denver Public Schools, Lockheed Martin, Kaiser Permanente. So on the off chance, let's just say that I was like, I really want to go work at Kaiser Permanente or Oracle. If I decided to go click on that, I could probably find some fellow alumni, and who knows? Do I know any of these people? Maybe I could say, hey, I want to apply. You know, I send them a message or connect and say, hey, I want to apply. Can you tell me about working at Oracle? You and I went to DU together, and tell me more. So again, and look, I can clear out that filter. So I'm back to the main search, what they do, a lot of people, education, entrepreneurship, wow, sales, operations, and so on. It tells you what they studied, where they're skilled at, and how we're connected. So it looks like I am pretty light on the first connections to my DU alumni, so I need to go check that out. But it does tell me the opportunities where, well, you've got some second degree connections where it'd be easy enough to ask for a connection. So that's why I really encourage you guys, fill in that alumni or that educational section, because that can lead to you finding more networking opportunities with those people who used to go to your school. All right. You know what? I think I wasn't sharing my screen just now, so let me hop back in and share my. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just go back and show you what I just showed, which I was showing when I didn't share my screen. Under profile, under your network, if you hit Find Alumni, this is what I was looking at. And I'm sorry for describing something you guys weren't seeing. You do get some really great stuff where you can say, okay, where are people living? Where are they working? Ooh, I've always wanted to work at Oracle. And then it shows you only the alumni at DU who work at Oracle. And then you're free to go through and say, ooh, well, maybe I want to pare it down even more. I want to work in IT at Oracle. So now you can find people who have worked or work at Oracle and say, I can find someone who I know and say, oh gosh, please tell me more about this. Who do I contact? Can you put me in the path of the right person to talk to? Lots of advantages there to making sure that you've added your education into your LinkedIn profile so that then you can go and find those potential network connections. Guys, you don't know who you could know down the path who could lead to the next awesome opportunity. It really does work that way. All right, sorry about the making your eyes all sketchy. I'm scrolling down past the projects we've covered education and how important it is to fill that in. Lastly, any additional info, if you have any advice for contacting or, me, actually, look, there's something I need to change as well. Wrong. Good thing that we're going through this. Email, let me just do this. Email Rachel at Really Social. Snapchat is Rachel Really Soch. So anything you add here, it's giving you a little warning, including contact info could be visible to people who view your profile. So you have to be okay with that. If you don't want to put your phone, don't do it. But yeah, you can add interests and things like that. That just, again, adds the component that you are a real person. If you're involved with some organizations, which I actually need to add Colorado Women in Social Media. And I am doing that while I am the owner and chief social officer. I'm kind of just showing you guys how this works. I've been there since last year, and I'm going to hit save. So there was an organization I am part of that I want to make sure people know. I am shortly joining another one, so I'll be adding that in there too. Lastly, so anyone that has recommended you, you will have seen up above, they are already listed under each relevant title that you've held based on when they knew you and what they recommended you for. You have a few options here. Right now, they're putting them in order of the job that I held. So this one's the most recent because Joyce knows me as my current role, and that's what she recommended me for. These next two were from my prior position. However, I have the option to move these around. So, and actually within here, so maybe I want people to see Jack's recommendation first before Jim's. Totally fine. And again, it makes it very easy to ask to be recommended and then managing those recommendations. Let's click on ask to be recommended. Okay, so when you click on ask to be recommended, you can click, okay, I want to be recommended based on my current role. Now it's saying, well, who do you want to ask? And these have to be people you're currently connected to. So you could start typing somebody in. Maybe I want to say, I want Brian Fanzo to recommend me. So you could click on that. I'm not going to actually pursue it yet. It's asking what your relationship is. Now, the reason this is important is because once the person gets a notification that I've asked for a recommendation, they can say, oh, heck no, I have no idea who you are, or they can go ahead and do it. But this helps identify and gives context to Brian saying, okay, well, I want to do this based on these next components. I reported to you. I worked with you. You were my client. You didn't manage me, but you were senior to me and so on. But you need to identify what that relationship was. So you're clarifying it for the person and also what their role was at that time. This is so the person can remember you because you may be asking for this recommendation beyond, and you have to bring people back. Not everybody's got a perfect memory. You're trying to say, do you remember, let me paint the picture when we were working this together. And again, it gives you a canned little opportunity to ask for the recommendation. I really recommend that you personalize this message so that it's saying, hey, you and I worked on this project together. It would mean a lot to me if you would recommend me, if you're willing, about that project. I would love that. And if you do that, I would love to do the same for you. So once you hit send, it sends it, and then it's really up to that person. If they're active on LinkedIn, it's up to them to decide to go ahead and recommend you. You can also manage these by what you've received. And if you have given recommendations, you can see the ones that you've given out. So that's kind of nice because then you can say, do you want to display on your profile to everyone that you've recommended them? Perhaps you only want your connections to see if you've recommended certain people. Or maybe you get to where you're like, oh, I need to make that one private. I'm okay with recommending them, but I'm not sure if I want everybody to see it. So you can manage those there as well. Let me get back to profile. Okay, we're almost to the end of our time, guys. Actually, we're coming up on the end. So we really have covered most of the components of your profile. There's a lot here to be done. You could easily spend 2 to 3 hours in here trying to work on your profile and getting it all up to snuff. I think the biggest things to pay attention to are your experience, your summary, your recommendations, and then groups, of course, if you are joining groups. And we can do another LinkedIn training on that as well. But you can see I've got a pretty full profile. I've only got a few sections I haven't fulfilled. And that makes it so I've got a pretty decent face to put forward, if you will, so people can see it. That's it, guys. Lastly, let me answer Barb's question. What do I think of the new LinkedIn Pro Finder? Barb, I did sign up for it. I've heard zero from it since I've signed up for it. I signed up basically as, I'm someone who can provide social media training and marketing freelance for somebody under contract, really. I've gotten zero anything from it. So I don't know. Jury's still out on that, I think. I would be really keen to hear from somebody if they've gotten some benefit from it. Great, good on them. So that's really my feed on that. The last thing I want to share with you guys is that I do have a link on my website where you can go, and I've got a really handy, and I'll show you guys what this is. a great little worksheet that you can use. And it really walks you through each component of your profile and how to use it, including groups and things like that. But it also provides the dimensions of the pictures you're going to want to use and things like that. So some specifics that may not be that intuitive as you're working with LinkedIn. So I'm going to go ahead and post that link in the chat bar, and I will also pin the link as well. Does anyone have any final questions about how to make their LinkedIn profile better? And we have burned up the whole hour, so that's pretty awesome. Anyone have questions? And obviously, I would love it if you guys would connect with me on LinkedIn. And since I happen to know that URL by heart, I'm going to type it into the .com, Rachel Moore. So that's one advantage too. If I still had that gobbledygook alphanumeric code, I would never remember it. But you guys have some links there, how to use LinkedIn. That'll get you to where you can download a free worksheet. It's very helpful. And then also connect with me on LinkedIn. I would love to see you guys. And that's really all we got. Okay, so I hope you guys have had a wonderful time watching. It's been fun for me. And I appreciate the questions. Thank you, Barb, for watching. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And feel free to ping me if you have any questions. Have a fantastic day.